Authorities say the gang has spread from the streets of Central America into communities across the United States. Known as Mara Salvatrucha or MS-13, the organization has become associated with organized crime, intimidation, and community fear. MS-13 traces its roots back to the Civil War in El Salvador during the 1980s. As refugees fled violence in Central America, many settled in crowded neighborhoods in cities like Los Angeles. Instead of peace, many encountered poverty, discrimination, and violent street gangs. According to longtime members, Salvadoran immigrants were often targeted by established gangs. Police units across the country work daily to stop the gang before another neighborhood becomes its next battleground. Tonight, we examine the history of the gang through the perspectives of law enforcement officers, former members, and affected communities. To survive, groups of Salvadoran youths formed their own gang for protection. Over time, that group evolved into Mara Salvatrucha. Some members say the gang was originally created to defend Salvadoran immigrants. Others argue it became something far darker. The gang adopted the number 13, a symbol tied to gang culture and identity. Law enforcement says MS-13 quickly gained a reputation for violent criminal activity and intimidation. Investigators say common tools from rural life in Central America were sometimes used during crimes connected to the gang. Investigators say many gang members grew up using machetes for farming and labor before turning them into weapons. Former members describe how violence became normalized within gang culture. Police agencies across the United States began noticing the same pattern: territorial disputes, organized criminal activity, retaliation between rival groups, and intimidation that affected entire communities. Authorities say MS-13 expanded rapidly beyond Los Angeles. The gang spread into Texas, New York, Virginia, Maryland, and other states. Police departments warn that no growing city or suburb is completely immune. In Houston, investigators describe neighborhoods where gang graffiti marks territory and sends messages to rivals. Officers monitor walls, alleyways, and apartment complexes for symbols connected to gang activity. Graffiti often becomes an early warning sign of retaliation or conflict. Investigators say rival gangs respond by crossing out symbols or replacing them with their own markings. What looks like vandalism to most people can signal an incoming attack to law enforcement. Police describe ongoing turf wars between MS-13 and rival gangs. Authorities say these conflicts often resulted in serious crimes and ongoing retaliation between rival groups. Residents often become trapped in the middle. Many neighborhoods affected by gang violence are also home to hardworking immigrant families trying to build stable lives. Community leaders stress that gangs do not represent the broader Salvadoran or Latino communities. Still, fear spreads quickly when violence escalates. Law enforcement agencies say MS-13 uses intimidation as a form of control. Witnesses are often too afraid to cooperate. Victims may refuse to testify. And communities sometimes stay silent out of fear of retaliation. Former members describe gang life as a search for identity, belonging, power, and respect. Many recruits enter the gang at a young age. Initiation rituals are designed to test loyalty and toughness. According to former members, recruits were often pressured to prove loyalty through illegal activity. Older gang members mentor younger recruits and teach them how to avoid police detection. Authorities say the gang has become increasingly organized over time. Investigators claim experienced members pass along tactics involving weapons, transportation, communication, and evasion. Gang identity is reinforced through symbols, clothing, colors, nicknames, and loyalty to the group. Blue and white, the colors of the Salvadoran flag, are often associated with MS-13, but police say identifying members has become harder in recent years. Visible tattoos once made gang members easy to identify. Now many members hide, cover, or avoid tattoos altogether. Investigators say modern gang members attempt to blend into ordinary crowds. Unlike some gangs that seek public attention, authorities describe MS-13 as more secretive and difficult to track. Former gang members also describe the psychological toll of violence. Many witnessed shootings, murders, arrests, and deportations from an early age. Some say repeated exposure to crime and trauma deeply affected their mental and emotional well-being. Others describe gang life as a cycle that becomes harder to escape over time. Across the United States, specialized gang units monitor MS-13 activity. In Nassau County, New York, police patrol neighborhoods affected by gang violence. Investigators collect intelligence through traffic stops, surveillance, informants, and gang databases. Photos, aliases, tattoos, and affiliations are cataloged to help officers identify suspects. Technology also plays a role. Gunshot detection systems allow police to pinpoint the location of shootings within seconds. Officers say fast response times can prevent retaliation and help locate suspects. Gang investigators also monitor festivals, gatherings, and public events where rival gangs may encounter one another. At one Salvadoran festival on Long Island, officers watched closely for signs of conflict between MS-13 and the 18th Street Gang. Police say even gestures or public confrontations between rival groups can escalate tensions. In Houston, deputies conduct traffic stops and monitor neighborhoods known for gang activity. But officers admit identifying active members is difficult. Many individuals stopped by police may have no criminal history or proven gang ties. Law enforcement agencies say they must balance public safety with constitutional protections. Meanwhile, communities often remain caught between fear of gangs and mistrust of authorities. Federal authorities use multiple strategies against violent gang members. Non-citizens convicted of serious crimes may face deportation. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers process convicted gang members before removal flights to Central America. Authorities say deportation temporarily disrupts gang operations. But investigators also acknowledge that some deported members attempt to return to the United States. Federal prosecutors increasingly rely on racketeering and conspiracy laws to target organized criminal networks. These cases target entire criminal organizations instead of isolated crimes. Convicted gang leaders can face decades in federal prison. Law enforcement officials say lengthy federal sentences are among the strongest tools available. Unlike local jail terms, federal sentences are typically served almost in full. Authorities believe removing key gang leaders from the streets weakens gang networks. Still, investigators warn that the gang continues recruiting younger members. Former members describe recruitment as driven by loyalty, money, fear, and the promise of protection. Some recruits are drawn by status or peer pressure, while others are searching for belonging and protection. Police and community groups argue prevention programs are critical to stopping recruitment before it starts. Behind every gang investigation is a community dealing with trauma. Families mourn victims lost to violence. Parents fear for their children. Neighborhoods struggle with intimidation and silence. Police officers describe the work as an ongoing battle. Former gang members describe living under constant pressure, fear, and instability. Both sides acknowledge the cycle of retaliation rarely ends easily. Former members speak about losing friends to shootings, prison, and deportation. Some say the lifestyle consumed entire generations. Authorities continue working to prevent gang violence through enforcement, intelligence gathering, and community partnerships. But investigators warn the challenge remains far from over. MS-13 remains one of the most widely known criminal gangs operating in parts of the United States. Its history is tied to war, migration, poverty, identity, and violence. Law enforcement agencies continue trying to dismantle the organization through arrests, federal prosecutions, and international cooperation. Community leaders continue trying to protect neighborhoods from recruitment and retaliation. And former gang members continue reflecting on how gang involvement affected their lives, families, and communities. For authorities, the battle continues street by street. For communities caught in the middle, the stakes remain painfully real.